Hi guys, and welcome to the last lesson in chemical equilibrium. So now we're going to put together everything we've learned so far, and we are going to look at the type of questions they can ask you, especially regarding chemical equilibrium and the Chatelier's principle and how to interpret the graphs. Okay, so let's just look at this first example where they ask you questions regarding the Chatelier's principle and how equilibrium shifts. So let's say I have these two hypothetical molecules, reactants, that are added to an empty container. The following reversible reaction reaches equilibrium at 500 Kelvin. Let's just highlight that for in case they give us a different temperature, and they say the forward reaction is exothermic. They also could have said here next to it delta H is smaller than 0. Okay, so then they ask you choose one of the following: increase, decrease, or no change. How will the amount of Ba2 in the container be affected? Okay, so let's just highlight that so that we can remember we are looking only at this one, and I'm going to highlight it here. Is one of my reactants if more A to G is added. So remember, if it was a solid, if it didn't change the surface area, it wouldn't have affected my chemical equilibrium. But this is a gas. So in other words, the volume of my container stays the same, but I add more particles. So what this does, so if the container stays the same, and there were, let's say, 3 molecules, now there are a lot more. So what this does is actually it increases the concentration of my A2X. So if this one increases, my system wants to correct that by decreasing that amount again. So it can either use this to form that, or it can use this to form that. We can either favor the forward or the reverse reaction. So the only reaction in which this is used up is my forward reaction. So in other words, here my forward reaction is favored, and what that means is that these two are used up, so this one is also used up, which means that the concentration of my Ba2 is going to decrease. Now the temperature decreases. So remember, if my temperature decreases, my system, you don't have to write all this. Remember, you only have to say what happens, whether the concentration increases, decreases, or no change. If the system, if my temperature decreases, my system wants the temperature to increase. And the only reaction that causes an increase in temperature is the exothermic reaction. And in our case, my forward reaction is the exothermic, so my forward reaction is favored, which means that these two are both used up, which means that that concentration will decrease. And that's the answer I need to write down. But if they were to ask you, give a reason for your answer, that which I'm writing over here and explaining, you would also put that you will just put that into words when giving your answer. And then they say the pressure is increased. So remember, the pressure only changes if one reaction produces more or less moles of gas than the other. So remember, I'm only looking at gas, so I'm not looking at this one, which means here on the left hand side I have 3 moles of gas, 2 from there and 1 from there, and on this side I also have only 3 moles of gas, which means that a change in pressure, whether I increase or decrease the pressure, it won't shift my equilibrium. So my concentration would be constant, no change. Or you can just say no change. Okay. And then, how will the rate of the reverse reaction be affected if? And this is a very important question. This is a tricky one, because remember, now they're not asking about the concentrations of either your reactants or your product. They aren't asking what reaction is favored. They are only asking rate of reaction, which means you don't have to worry about chemical equilibrium. You only have to worry about your reaction rate. So you only have to, and remember, whatever will increase the rate of reaction for forward will also increase the rate of reaction for backwards. It's just that, or reverse, it's just that with equilibrium, remember, like we said in our video on equilibrium, one side is more affected than the other, but it isn't true that the opposite happens, that I increase the forward reaction rate and decrease the reverse reaction rate. That's not true. I increase both, but one is increased more than the other. So they say in this part, temperature is increased. And temperature, remember, temperature is the measure of the average kinetic energy of your particles. So the more energy my particles have, the more effective collisions I have, where the collisions have an energy higher than the activation energy, so it will lead to a higher reaction rate. So it will be increased. And a suitable catalyst, a catalyst will always increase your reaction rate. Remember, we saw when we looked at exothermic and endothermic reactions, if I have this graph of my reaction, then this is what your catalyst does. It lowers the activation energy. So for forward, you would have that, and for backward, you would also have that. So it doesn't matter whether we're looking at forward or reverse, the activation energy is less, so the reaction rate will increase. So this is a very nice test of your knowledge, especially how equilibrium links to reaction rate. Okay, so let's just finally do a graph. And next up we have the dreaded graph. So remember, a graph is only there to give you information. So I know it's easier said than done, but don't be intimidated by a graph. A graph is only there to give you information. So your mindset should be, what information can I get from this graph? So it says a fertilizer company produces ammonia on a large scale at a temperature of, let's highlight that, 450 degrees Celsius. The balanced equation below represents the reaction taking place in a sealed container. Note that it's an exothermic reaction. Let's write that down as well. The forward reaction is exothermic. And then to meet the increasing demand for fertilizer, the management instructs the engineer to make the necessary adjustments to increase the ammonia yield. So in other words, they want more of that. In a small-scale laboratory trial, the engineer makes changes to the temperature, pressure, and concentration of the equilibrium mixture. The graph shows the results obtained. Identify the changes made to the equilibrium mixture at each of the following times: time 1, time 2, and time 3. So let's interpret the graphs. So I like to highlight my graphs, different colors for the reactants and the product. So for example, let's make our reactants blue. So I'm going to highlight both of those graphs blue. So it's this one, because if it's all black and white, even if there are dotted lines and straight lines, it's very difficult to interpret everything that way. So please, guys, use your highlighter. Your question paper should look like a coloring book after you're done, and because it just gives you a much clearer, I know you have kids who work with color and kids who don't work with color, but it just gives you a much clearer picture of what's going on. Okay, so see, that's much easier to interpret. Okay, so let's see what happened at time 1. So you will see that there is a sudden spike in only my into gas over there, and then we have the changes. So let's just see. So look at that. So that was a spike there, which means I can actually already say that the concentration of this guy increased. So, but let's just see what happens. Let me explain to you what happens over here. So if I increase that, my system wants to decrease that. It can only decrease that by using it up. So, and the reaction in which that is used up is in my forward reaction. So that means that these two are going to decrease and that one's going to increase. And that is exactly what happens. Both of my reactants decrease and my product increases. Okay, at time 2, what happens here? You will notice that there's a small spike in most of them, and that is normally when the pressure changes. So because the pressure is controlled by the volume most of the time, and if I have a large container with 3 particles and then I decrease that and I still have my 3 particles, actually what it does is it increases the concentration. So that is why there is a small spike in all of them then. But let's just look further. So remember, I have to see which side produces the most or least number of moles of gas. So this side I have 1 plus 3 is 4 moles of gas, and on this side I have 2 moles of gas. So if I suddenly increase the concentration, it means that the pressure increased, and an increase in pressure favors the reaction that produces the least number of moles. So in other words, my forward reaction is favored. So these two are used up and that one is formed. Let's see. Yes, those two are used up and this one is formed. That one increases. So that corresponds with our thinking, is that the pressure was increased. And then at time 3, what happens there? And normally when there are no sudden spikes or drops, you can know that it's a temperature that is affected. With the pressure, let me just say that they don't always give you that spikes. They should, especially if it's a graph of concentration. But if it's a mole versus time graph, then you won't see the spike. But you see it with my concentration graph. But if there are no spikes, it means that the concentrations stay the same, the pressure stays the same, so it's the temperature. And that's the only one we have left. But now I need to see what they did with the temperature. And now I'm kind of going backwards. I'm going to look at what reaction was favored to determine whether that reaction was an exo or an endothermic reaction and what happened to the temperature, etc., etc. So follow my thinking here. So my reactants increased and my product decreased, which means my reverse reaction was favored. And this is also what you are going to write down if they ask you for a reason. My reverse reaction was favored because more products were formed and reactants were formed and my products were used up. And my reverse reaction, if my forward reaction is exothermic, my reverse reaction would be an endothermic. So, and my reverse reaction is endothermic. So now I look at what type of temperature change favors my endothermic reaction. And that is an increase in temperature. Because if I increase the temperature, my system wants to decrease it. And it does that by using the energy up, and that is exactly what an endothermic reaction does. So in other words, the answer to this question is the temperature was increased. Why was it the temperature? So you can then go from it this way again to make sure you have the right answer. If the temperature is increased, my system wants to decrease it by favoring the endothermic reaction, which uses heat, and my reverse reaction was favored, and that is exactly my reverse reaction is the endothermic reaction, and we can see that that is the one that was favored. Okay, so this is a very commonly asked question that freaks the kids out. Okay, and then 4.2, at which of the above times did the change made to the reaction mixture result in a higher ammonia yield? So then you can just look at what happens. Of the change at time 1 and the change at time 2 caused an increase in the ammonia yield, not the change in time 3 that caused decrease. So my answer here is I'm looking at the changes at time 1 and time 2. So there you have it. Now you just need to make sure that you watch the video on the equilibrium constant with the example over there. And if you need more examples, there are tons in my study guide with detailed analysis and explanations in them. So good luck.